All right, everybody, welcome to the HR Executive Brain Trust After Party. This is our last Brain Trust of the year 2021. And let me tell you, it has been a wild year. I think that across the board, everyone's biggest question is, how do we help retain employees? That is the topic of discussion inside the HR group. It's also been the topic of discussion for many other roundtables inside the executive team. And what we'd like to focus on today is, instead of focusing on that generally, what we'd like to do is we'd like to look at the intersection of employee mental health programs and how that's impacting employee retention. And so that's why we have this great panel here in front of us. They're going to lend some insight into what they're doing inside of their organizations. And with that, I'd actually like to pass it over to Rhonda with Nelson Mullins to kick us off and get us started. Rhonda.
Thank you. So one of the things that we've had to look at is our employee assistance program in general. HR has been very happy, and this is with my former company as well, to use a vendor and to allow them to design more generic well-being programs. But with a lot that happened in COVID, calling out healthcare disparities, we had to engage more of a lens from a diversity and inclusion perspective, because with all the things that happened with Black Lives Matter and a lot more focus on specific things, we found that some of the programs didn't address the needs of our diverse populations. So doing a deeper dive, making sure that our vendor kind of retools and provided some things that were specific to diverse populations really was very well received by those employees who may not have thought to use that program. We were able to promote things that were specific to diverse populations that we didn't have prior to COVID or prior to other things that took place in the last couple of years. So we kind of, it was a call to action, if you would, for the things that were happening in different cultures, just revising what our vendors hadn't even identified they needed to do.
Yeah, I'd add to that, we've seen a similar trend just among like companies that we work with. Just everyone's kind of reevaluating what mental health resources that they have in place, how well those are reaching. There's a lot of companies that are just saying the exact same thing that Rhonda just said, where it's just like, we need diverse solutions with diverse providers to serve our diverse clients. So we get a lot of requests for, LGBT and different races and male and female. And just, I think we're seeing that across the board with companies all over the US. Everybody's really taking a second look at what they're offering right now.
Excellent. And so what, as you guys, as we look at this discussion here, how do you think that these types of programs will ultimately impact employee retention?
Well, people want to stay where they feel that they can bring their whole selves and where their whole selves are identified and acknowledged. Having been an African American in the South for many, many years and in HR, you hear people say, I don't see your color, or I don't see, your gender, you're just one of the guys, those sorts of things. And when you are from an underrepresented population, there was a time when you go, okay, that's great. They don't see my difference. They just think I'm one of them. And that time has completely and totally passed and will never happen again. People of color, people of gender differences, Asians are wanting you to see the difference and appreciate it, because by not letting us come to the table with that, then you're missing out on some good stuff. I know for me particularly, but so I would never stay with a company now with the mindset that I have now, and most of the millennials are of the mindset where people don't recognize and acknowledge their difference and allow them to build on it, rather than constantly have them walking around with the emotional tax, if you would, of having to assimilate and to pretend that you're not different. That's a heavy burden to bear. And people will quietly leave organizations that don't give them that freedom and that sense of belonging. There's a neuroscientist, Steve Robbins, that has done a lot of work on how, people can only do it so much with the brain power, right? And so if there's so much of your brain trying to assimilate, then you're not bringing your best performance into work, because that's the first thing you think about is assimilating rather than performing. So I would say that companies that take an extra step in addressing the needs of diverse populations from a well-being standpoint will be those companies that people will tend to stay with, even when somebody offers them, a better salary or something fancier, because they have that sense of belonging where they are and they don't need to find it somewhere else.
Excellent viewpoints. Absolutely. Providing that support. I think belonging is happening inside of organizations. If you look at the book Bowling Alone, it talks a lot about how communities are changing, and a lot of the community of a person, a place where they feel belonging is at work. And I think it's really important to engage everybody in that. Leanne or Anna, if you guys want to jump in, Cindy or Lisa, if you guys have some insights about you and your organizations, what are some things you all are doing to help your employees' mental health?
I'll jump in, and the reason if it's okay, I've got to jump in. I did not plan my time wisely. I'm going to have to leave here quickly. I've got another meeting. I just realized. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
But I'll just share a little bit. COVID was really tough on our company. We're senior living. And so, we lived and breathed COVID, right, with our residents. And one of the things, and it just didn't, our employee assistance program did not do a very good job supporting that, right? They didn't have experience in healthcare in particular, and we hadn't realized that at the time. And one thing that we found that was super helpful was some of the hospice teams that we as an organization partner with really came along to partner with our organization to support our team, because we were losing staff because of burnout, right? They were, look, I can't see another month of another COVID situation, right? Or whatever might happen within their building. And to really bring in those folks who are experienced with grief management and stress management and all those types of things was super helpful. That we wouldn't have thought to tap into that. Wish we would have thought about it earlier, right? But it certainly has been a process for us and a great partnership to have.
Wow, that is really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say I also had to leave really, really quickly. But I wanted to, go upon what Leanne was saying. So at Decina, we are an algorithm company. We're in precision medicine, but we also operate a COVID testing lab. And so the folks who are working in our lab are extremely burnt out because we had to go through a downsizing as well once the testing need waned. Now it's back up again. And so one of the things that we did was actually we implemented an employee assistance program that wasn't the free one that came with health insurance. So it actually is more robust, and you can have counseling sessions, one-on-one counseling sessions for free. Employees don't have to pay for it. We've also done internal seminars on how to reduce stress, how to reduce burnout. But at the end of the day, we've hired more people so that people feel they don't have to work as much. They don't have to do as much overtime. And we've also offered retention bonuses to people. So financially, we're paying more, of course, but we're motivating them by saying, hey, if you stay with us and just kind of stick it out, it's going to get better, but we'll compensate that for you. We're also paying higher than market. And that's the way that we've really been able to reduce turnover. But I think at the end of the day, it's getting more people in so that employees don't have to work as much, right? Because all the money in the world is not going to get back time, and time is the most precious commodity. So, yeah.
I would say one of the things that is a common theme here, and that we need to keep in mind, is that we can't take human out of human resources, and the direct correlation with letting people know that you care, that you reach out, you have conversations, you ask questions, and you're, as an organization, that the organization is going to help you through whatever crisis you're going through, whether it's, Corona, whether it's, family issues, whether it's personal issues. And I think nothing beats just a reach out from even, it doesn't have to be in human resources, it can be the president of the company, but nothing beats that reach out of saying, I care about you, how are you? Just a personal call, either whether it's a call, a Teams, a text, an email, directly to individuals. I think that goes beyond measure in terms of letting people know that you care about them and how they're doing in this crazy world we live in.
Excellent. These are all fantastic.
I would just add, the same way that we promote physical health, for example, having benefits, access to gyms, access to certain memberships, etc. We also look at mental health. And we know that 1 in 4 of us will experience a mental health problem in any given year. So this is a very important part for us. So we offer an app for employees to help reduce anxiety, help reduce stress, help improve sleep. We also have mental health champions to help with stigma, because we know stigma is still an issue. So we have this mental health champions that are just people from all departments in the company, to be open to talk to people and point them to resources we have, etc. So that seems to also work out for us. And also just improving on our EAP program. So doing certain things like this that are not only promote physical health, but also mental health has been helping us with retention.
I want to thank everyone for these excellent points. I mean, I feel like we've really covered the gamut here. And going back to, what you said, Rhonda, about assimilation, I think the mental health has a big part of assimilation, and we all assimilate differently. And so mental health programs, whether it's a DEI initiative, whether it's just, Cindy reaching out to someone to let them know, whatever's going to help them assimilate better is going to help them perform better, feel like they belong, and contribute like they actually belong to this community where they can push things. So I really think you guys were spot on with this. I really appreciate the post panel discussion. I appreciate you all joining us, and please make sure to join us next time for our Brain Trust. We'll see you all in the new year.